Evening, everyone. I'm Ranan Thomas from Earthkeepers Connect Goa, your host for this evening, the 20th day of the pre-summit webinars leading up to the New Earth Summit in November, the second edition of India's first integrative summit on solutions to our problems in health, food, farming, and environment. I extend a warm welcome to our esteemed panelists of this evening on behalf of our summit convener, Daryl D'Souza, and also on behalf of our 10 Earthkeeper groups in India and overseas. And we express our gratitude to you for taking out time from your busy schedules to be with us and to share your wisdom so that all watching this webinar and its recording later may understand why it is important to have fresh and healthy food every day of your life and also from what kind of places. So our topic for today is community markets offering healthy options. I will start with introducing our panelists to the audience. Irfan Sheikh. Irfan Sheikh previously worked in the media field in Mumbai and he's traveled worldwide on work. He started as a promo producer with MTV, VH1, Channel V, Zoom, and later on as an independent producer, director, creative head, working with advertising agencies, TV channels, and corporates. Finally, he quit the job as head content strategy planner with TV channels, advertising agencies, and media houses to proudly upgrade his life, as he puts it, to become a passionate farmer who invested in a farm in Karjat much before buying his own house. An ardent animal lover and nature lover involved in animal welfare and loving nature trails. He relocated to Goa with his environmentalist wife and children to give back to the motherland by utilizing the skills learned in creatives and strategies. He believes the need of the hour is to promote organic farming and to create markets for the farmers. So he is busy aggressively setting up markets across Goa to promote sustainable farming and farmers, having complete solutions for organic farming right from soil conversions to final pest control solutions to marketing the products. Daryl D'Souza. Daryl D'Souza's reversal from 14 years of sickness to a state of complete well-being within just 1 year of using integrated natural therapies is a story that has inspired millions across the globe lead healthier lives. His book, Become Healthy or Extinct, on curing chronic illnesses with integrated natural therapies finds readership in close to 200 countries. Daryl does disease reversal workshops as well as spiritual workshops all across India, and he has also served a 5 year term as the secretary of the World United Doctors and Healers Association. He hosts platforms and events for doctors, healers, and therapists to work together and has curated and convened 4 mind, body, and spirit healing conferences. Daryl is also an organic farmer, an environmentalist, a TEDx speaker, founder of Earthkeepers Connect, ambassador of Vegan Nation, convener of the New Earth Summit, and a speaker at the World Parliaments on Spirituality. Meenu Nageshwaran. At a young age of 22, Meenu set up Incense Tours Limited in 1982 with her husband Nagesh. Her travels around India and the world became her window to the world. A traumatic personal strategy was the starting point of a monumental journey on a path of self discovery that is a part of her life process today. Entwined with her personal search is a need to help others cope with upheavals and setbacks in their day to day life. Meenu is a healer and counselor, helping many face the dilemmas, fears, and disappointments of life in order to make the transformation towards growth and understanding. She founded Padma Center for Soul Realization in 2006 to promote all aspects of well being on the mental, physical, and spiritual level. After her experience with diabetes in 2012, Meenu learned how to be a plant based cook and turned her passion for good food that's healthy to learning and sharing her knowledge with others. In 2012, she founded Minu's Prana Kitchen and offers plant-based, dairy-free, refined product-free, organic workshops and cooking classes. Since 5 years, Minu has been actively helping share the benefits of organic, natural, pesticide-free produce and products, and in that process, she founded the Earth Collective Organic Natural Lifestyle Market at Sundar Nursery in Delhi that happens every Sunday from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. So here is our first question for the panelists. How do community markets benefit people and food producers and the planet? Yes, Minu, would you like to start?
So, I mean, essentially, it's about the fact that we all love touch and feel. We are people who survive on that, and the market gives that opportunity that you can come and meet the growers, meet the producers, meet the farmers themselves, meet the person who's making that bottle of jam or preserve or pickle. Ours is an owner-driven market. So the people behind the table will be the people who are actually growing the food, who can talk to you, who can share a recipe, you can ask, how do you make this? And they will be able to answer the question. So that is the most critically important thing, that you come back to a space where you can touch and feel. It's not online. It's not like going into a store where people don't know what a particular sales person need not even know what a particular vegetable is good for or something like that. So from herbs to aloe vera to giloy, which is now very very prevalent now, to all the immunity boosting foods that are very much in harvesting now in Delhi, amlas and raw ginger, raw haldi. That is the advantage, that you go there, you are actually seeing and meeting the people.
Yes, Irfan, what would your viewpoint on that be?
Yeah, hi. Okay, now, see, when we started, first of all, we were doing like monthly market. Then we thought there is a need for the weekly thing, because I can't give you like chemical-free foods only once a month. And rest of the days you go back to chemicals, So we started weekly market. When we started the weekly market, and like I can't say there are no resources, or there are no markets, or there are no consumers. There are farmers, there are consumers. Just that we don't know. We have to go and find them. And this is exactly what we are set out to do. No, there are like so many producers, okay, but they don't have a market. There are so many customers who need this produce, but then they don't know where to go. So this is exactly like what we're trying to get together, both the buyer and the seller, and just not that, it's just not the buyer and seller, at this community markets, how the benefit is like, you get to meet like-minded people. You get to know meet your farmer directly. Like Minu said, like whenever you go to the market and when you meet the producer of a particular produce, then you have more trust. You can ask questions about the produce. You can ask the benefits, how he has grown. So there's always this personal touch to it. And for the one is as a consumer, I get like all this produce from different farmers, and for the farmers, like they get the markets. That's the reason why we are setting up at different places. See, just not like what I mean by also community market is like trying to reach closest to you. So this is fresh vegetables. Vegetables come from far and near and all that. But most of the vegetables are infested with chemicals. Now, when there's a market somewhere close by, so for sure, there are no chemicals and all that. You don't have to get into chemicals for transportation and for preserving and all that. So when you come, when I come closer to you, the people, they know the farmers. There are farmers who can, get together and they can sell the produce. So this is what we're trying to do.
Daryl?
Yes, apart from this, like what things which are doing, I think that we'll cover in the next session.
Yes, John, now one of the, since I come from a background of health, and especially how to heal with food, that is stopping the wrong foods that are causing so much of illness, and the rise of cancer in the world today is also coming. The main root is coming from food. Now, I have this chapter in my book, Become Healthy or Extinct. I have the chapter on cancer where I'm explaining the three main areas from where cancer is coming. And I've called it's a very interesting chapter and more closer to truth about cancer than the conventional notion of cancer that's going around in the world. And the resultant is that notion just goes round and round in circles, and people are not really getting cured of cancer well, and cancer is becoming a business. So in that I talk of energy cancers, substance cancers, and parasitic cancers. And in substance cancers, that are inorganic substances that come into our body, and one of the main roots is food. And in foods, that is those natural molecules that were there earlier, and they are no longer in their natural state. And packaged and processed foods is one of the biggest root of that kind of food, which is, I say it's not even real food, because it comes with a lot of synthetic chemicals, artificial taste enhancers, coloring agents, preservatives. This word preservative itself is telling us that there was a natural process of nature for food. For example, a mango, when it's ripe on a tree, probably a monkey or a crow can get to it before it falls down, maybe 3-4 days before. And once it falls down, it is going to decompose in the soil, and the soil bacteria is going to get it in 3-4 days. So you have the shelf life of a mango that's 1 week. But now here we come with this concept that we want to defy the laws of nature. We want to defy the design of God, and we want to preserve that mango for 3 years in a tin. So that's the strength of these chemicals. They defy all natural processes, and those chemicals go into our body. Now, besides that, there are even when you go for fresh food, which is grown in commercial farms where there's a lot of synthetic pesticides and certain things put in the soil for them to grow faster, and they are sprayed on for not ripening. After they reach the destination, they are sprayed on for ripening. You have so many chemicals, and they are the main root of substance cancers. So one of the main reasons that I got into this the Earth Keepers Market in Goa and started doing it in 2015 was because of this. That and you can see now that markets are relatively small in size, and population is growing, and still the commercial markets are giving the main supply of food. And also the supermarkets and the malls, they are that's become like the fad. Everybody wants to go and get food from the uh, packaged processed foods from there. And so correspondingly you see the rise of cancer in society. I'm shocked at, I used to think that cancer happens to others, and now it's happening to people, in our friends and relatives. So for the people, I think they need to really understand this, that if they want to be healthy, they've got to eat fresh foods that come in from sources where there is no toxic material put in the soil or on the vegetable fruit at any stage. And that is why these local markets are so important, and especially from organic or natural farmers and people who can come to the counter and sell in front of you, and you can ask them all of the questions. In fact, our 5-6 farmers here in Goa on the Keepers Market, and we had a little more earlier, about 8-10. People are free to talk to them, chat to them, go to their homes and to their farms and see all of it. Many of our customers are people who have come to the root of health and learning, and they want to grow their own food, so they do make visits over there. So that's how, though our farmers here are not organically certified and anything come in a packed thing, people don't even want that certification. They just want to go and eat the food and see how healthy it is for them. They want to go to the farm, they see the soil, they see the fertilizer, and there's a community who know each other here. So that's one thing that really works. And I say local markets because once if you can't have a local market now, that's the case with cities like Mumbai. This whole development model has got so skewed that it's become a concrete jungle, and you have to get food from outside. So in the transit of food, once you're going to make food travel for 3-4 days, that compulsion comes in to spray some chemical on it so it doesn't get ripe. When it comes here, to spray a chemical so it gets ripe. So I think this is the whole structure of society is such. And one point is coming to mind with regards to the entire system. We think that health, we pay taxes, right? And we think that our government and our state government and all, they should take care of our health. But from what we can see, if you observe clearly, all the machinery is just geared to run businesses. So, i- there are, so just want to bring in whatever foods, it doesn't matter if it's chemicals and all that. Nobody in the government has sworn to take care of our health or not give us chemical foods. And, so the resultant is there are businesses that are bringing in, toxic food, and we're eating that food. And then once we get sick, there is another business like, allopathic pills. And so they give us all those pills and, uh, make money of us. And then once we get sick, there is somebody's gallbladder has to be taken out, somebody's thyroid has to be operated, somebody's what is that, appendix is taken out, then there's kidney malfunction, then the liver operation. So again, another industry. It's just business. Everybody's just making business of us, till the day we reach our graves. I remember even when I was 10, 12 years and all of that, we would not hear of people dying after 2, 3 operations. Now, by the time a person is dying at the age of 75 or 80, they've already had 3 operations. So if we want to avoid all of this, okay, which was the case 50, 60, 70 years back, people were eating healthy foods. They were not having any organ transplants and any cataract surgery and all of those things, right? So that's, for me, that's very important. Uh, and it's very important for the farmer because they get good price. There's no middleman in between. And it's important that at my market, in fact, I harvest, and after 2 hours people are taking that food home and probably preparing it for dinner. So that from the time to harvest till you eat is probably just 6 hours, at least on that first day, and the rest goes into the fridge. So these are the very important principles for me why community markets should be there. And I think every state needs to have at least 10 community markets. I think every city has to have a community market. That's something we can do in a place like Goa, for example. You can't do it in a concrete jungle like Mumbai, uh, because there aren't people growing in the middle of the city. It all comes from the outside. So for me, that's a real model which is a healthy model where organic farming happens at many places within a state, and at strategic locations they can have these markets where farmers come in, people come in on a Sunday or even midweek, because you need a supply of food regularly. It's not that just on Sunday. And another fact which I was speaking with the panelist, Meenu, just before we started, was that being a farmer myself, I have to harvest. I'm harvesting, from my garden every morning because food comes out. So you can imagine the state of the farmer if we are just doing a market on a Sunday. What is he going to do with all that fruit and vegetable that is coming out every second day from his farm? So I think ideally market should happen twice a week. It should happen in many places in a state. They should be healthy, and if people have healthy food, then we'll see so much lesser cancer, diabetes, arthritis, all of these illnesses that are happening in society. So people need to be aware of this, the whole system, how it is structured, and look for this the way the solution. The solution is to eat local, seasonal, organic, and something that has just been harvested maybe yesterday, or uh, that's what I think is what we should aim for. Thank you.
Okay, we can move on to our next question. What are the features of the community market that you do? Yes, Meenu, would you like to start?
First of all, we've now started a weekend market since this month, which we had started pre-COVID, and then we had to stop. We restarted the market in September only with a Sunday market, and now we've gone back to Saturday and Sunday as well. So I have always believed that we need to run not just a farmer's market, but a lifestyle market. So we've always had a lifestyle market. We've never ever just had a farmer's market. So our main concentration of participants is always the farmer. That is the focus, that will always remain the focus. But we have artisans, we have craftspeople, we have food and beverage providers. We've got a very large variety of local seasonal food available, traditional food, because that I believe is also our heritage, which we are losing out on. And beverages also, Indian estate coffee and teas and infusions. We have body care, some of them based on Ayurvedic principles. But the focus of the entire market is to have people using ingredients, regardless of which sphere they belong to or which category they belong to, that they have to be local and local, Indian products and ingredients being used. So we have the farmers, to tell you straight off, farmers, we have the what we call the value added producers. So they are people who bring in dry fruits, who bring in jams and preserves, who bring in sauces and dips and things like that. We have artisans, we have body care, we have healthcare alternatives, we have workshops on cooking, on seed bomb making or natural holy colors or making diyas during Diwali. So we have a pretty recycled bags out of t-shirts, things like that. We've been keeping the consumers and the children, especially the kids, because we like to do a lot of kid-centric activities. So they keep busy. And more than anything else, what I've been noticing, the most precious part of the market is what is happening there, because half of the space we have utilized as a space for the stalls. I have 4 squares, and the rest of the 2 squares we have left with the grass. People are under the trees. They've got place to come and sit, to eat, to bond. Almost nobody looks at their telephones, their mobile phones. You see families sitting for hours, somebody sitting in a corner with a book, somebody coming with an instrument. A lot of them come with their dogs. So I think the most precious part, it's a space for connection, which sadly today has been reduced in our workspaces as well as in our private spaces. And I really see the way the people come there. And I can't tell you, post reopening, so many people have just come to just thank me. Thank you for Meenu reopening, because we haven't seen the sun, we haven't seen the grass, we haven't been out. So it's a very, very, very precious thing, to be able to connect, to share, to bond, to feel the sun and hear the birds. It's, I think it's priceless, really priceless as an experience.
Thank you, Meenu. Irfan, would you like to go ahead?
Yeah. Okay. Continuation to what Mr. Darrell said about all the disease and harmful effects of all the toxic foods and all that. Yeah, like how Darrell said, there are companies who are manufacturing disease, who are manufacturing solutions, they're manufacturing like all sort of problems, and then manufacturing solutions also for them, So one thing to realize is, you can't manufacture food. You can't manufacture like veggies. This has to be grown naturally. But unfortunately, that is what we're trying to do today. We're trying to manufacture food also with all the genetic, GMOs, and there's been a lot of modification, and that is what we're trying to do. Okay, and I like what Mrs. Meenu said. It's just not the farmers market. Yeah, right. It is a lifestyle market. because this is where, I mean, you learn about sustainable growth, sustainable development, you know, I mean, growing in harmony. Like that's the reason why we also named our market as Sustainable Lifestyle Market instead of just farmers market. Now there are a lot of things like, yeah, the core focus is on farm and a lot of other things around that, like eco-friendly actions. Then there are like homemade products, you know. And before like before they participate in a market, we definitely have the meeting with all our vendors and tell them and talk to them about do's and don'ts, what they're supposed to do, what they're not supposed to do, and how we are going about this whole thing. You know, then coming back to, okay, this is just one aspect of that. Now for a customer, what is there? Customer, of course, there are like healthy options, there are eco-friendly solutions. Apart from that, you know, there has to be a lot of other things, because see, we are targeting from grandchildren to grandmothers and grandfathers, you know, so there has to be something for everyone. You know, so when like, I mean, a customer should look forward to come for this market, you know, just not to buy, to interact with people, to learn something. That's the reason why we have like this demo. Second, just sorry for this. Sorry about that. Like the lights just went off. I don't know, someone. Okay. So by the wow, that is scary.
Lovely.
I also look like hybrid. So, this is always, yeah, I've got like two people with the lights for support. So anyway, so now when we talk about like this lifestyle market, yeah, like I was saying, we have like these workshops, we have like demos, we have like debates, talks. So basically we're trying to create like the environment which is, you know, where everyone will come and enjoy. Apart from that, we're also planning to have like this contest where the students, when the young kids can come, you know, there'll be some games, you know, they can, you know, there'll be like drawing competition around sustainability. So anything and everything that we do is about sustainable growth. It's about sustainable development. So even for a child, when he's exposed to these things, it is good. Anything else?
No, that's all.
Now,
Thank
okay, the
you.
importance like earlier, like, you can see me, Daryl. Okay. Good.
Yes.
You guys are doing a good job. Yeah. Yeah. So another point which I wanted to talk about was, like, see, about the farmer market. You know, see, like we all talk about getting the farmer directly to the consumer. You know, see, I've been a marketing strategist. I've been a creative guy. You know, so I know, like, you know, how many things go into, like, when you have like certain skills, you can't be having like all the skills. You know, like for example, like you have friends, like with whom you go to party. You have friends with whom you go to the nature trails. You have friends with whom you go for the movies. You know, you have different friends for different activities. But in your wife, you look for all the talents together. You know, you want all. She has to be a cook also. She has to be a nature lover. She has to be a movie buff and everything. You know. Now, like why I'm giving this example, you know, apply the same thing in a farmer. Why the farmer has to have all the skills? That is what we're trying to do. Like everyone says, like, okay, you know, see, try to understand, like most of the corporates or the bigger companies, they have like HR team, they have marketing team, their production team, they have like so many teams and 100 to 200 people working. And we expect all these things to combine in one farmer. You know, we have to understand the farm management is different. Okay, then the production process is different. The marketing is different. Okay, now like okay, the farmer should, you know, deal with the consumer directly so that the margins are cut. Yeah, of course. When the farmer, ultimately the farmer gets just 1/3 of, okay, 1/3 of the price, or maybe 1/6 of the price. Now, what we are trying to do is we are trying to cut those margins, you know, like the logistics involved in the transportation and all of that. That's the reason we are trying to go closer to the farmer, you know, where there are consumers also. You know, so you cut on, and so a lot of things are cut. When a lot of things are cut, automatically the margin will be more, you know. Okay, you can put it off. So I think this is a very important aspect of this, you know, like where either the farmer has to focus on production or the farm management or like the marketing and all that. And these skills have to be developed. You know, like, okay, suppose a farmer has like another child. I mean, he wants him to be the duplicate of him. exactly do the same thing which he's been doing years and years and years. Okay, for example, if he has two sons, why can one guy like who is interested and who is better in marketing look at just marketing? Maybe another son who can't speak at all. Maybe he can look at just production part of it, you know. So now what happens if you don't have children? Okay, then there are like, okay, like guys like us, you know, we can take charge of this marketing, you know, and try to convince people. I mean, these are the farmers who need like your help, you know. So you have to buy the produce, you have to help them, you know. So only if there are buyers coming out and buying these things, then only like, you know, the farmers will start growing. See, I'm purely talking about organic. I'm not talking about all, you know, other like chemical foods and all that, just generally like organic, you know. So yeah, over to you, Minu. You want to add anything? Daryl?
Yeah, thank you, Irfan. Daryl, please.
Yes. So what, we started the whole name of our market only, Earth Keepers Market. It was just about everything that is, trying to rebalance and kind of purify the earth once again from all the toxicity that is coming out, all of the activities that human beings are doing on this planet. And food being, in my some of my seminars and my presentations that I'm doing, they are about these manufactured food and that come in all of these cartons, whether it's a Tetra Pak or it's a tin or it's a glass bottle or a plastic bottle and all of that. The amount of garbage that is being created on this planet because we just have decided we don't want to eat real food or fresh food. So so all of that garbage becomes the problem of the planet and of people and of recycling and all, is something later, but you should first minimize the amount of this garbage that you're creating. And I think that the garbage plant, if you look at the percentages of reasons of garbage, the biggest percentage on a daily level from every human being on the planet almost is food, is these packaged food. After that, there is something that's called planned obsolescence. That is all the devices that we use. People should see this movie, the light bulb conspiracy, and you will get to understand that this mobile actually could be made to last for 15 years, but it is actually being made to fail in 3 years, so that you buy 5 mobiles over the next 15 years. So this is the unfortunate reality, and but at least we can make a choice in food, especially since the organic market, scene is growing and people are promoting it more and more. uh, we should avoid this part of the problem at least. So as earth keepers, our market has got many aspects. In fact, this year, right from the starting of the year, it was such a strong commitment. We had announced the market was happening, earth keepers market was happening at my center, the Rejuvenation Center in Kalangut, and a very nice 4-acre property. And we had announced 52, that is every Sunday the market is happening, and we had announced 52 health workshops. That is for the entire year, every Sunday a health workshop. And one day it would be reversing diabetes, one day it would be reversing bone problems, arthritis and all, one day eye problems, one day infertility issues, and one day obesity, one day because people have these problems as crises in their life and they want a fixed solution. So we were doing these 3-hour workshops. So actually our Sunday was starting with me doing a health workshop from 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock, and the market would also overlap. It would start from 5 to about 7. And in the market, we would see, of course, fresh fruits, vegetables, groceries, and everything that promotes good health, nuts, beans, peas, and all of that. And we would also have counters for healers. So healers with energy medicine or reflexology or acupuncture, because the whole get together, community get together, is about healing ourselves and healing our planet and healing our wrong, or damaging actions to self, society, and the planet. So we also on our market have health devices. For example, I sell, the acupressure gadgets on the market. and other people sell some other things that are good for health on the planet, on the market. Then we also sell natural body products, whether it's got to do with soap, aromatherapy, essential, oil, natural soaps, and even vegan soaps, that is without using any animal products. Also hair oils and natural shampoos and natural toothpaste and all of those products. And for example, toothbrushes and so many things that we use, instead of having plastic, we like to have wooden and bamboo products. Then we would have a, yes, counter of vegan food, because vegan food is a plant-based food which has proven to be very healthy. So even the entire ice cream and the cheese and the mayonnaise and the cakes and all, they can be made of complete plant-based food, and that's for good health. And then after the market, we would even have during the market we would have a karaoke session. Okay, so karaoke is just people playing music, audience getting to come and sing a song. Mainly, we like to sing a song or play music on, themes of community building, uh, caring, sharing, healing the earth, taking care of animals, or any, environmental cause. So that was also happening on some days of the market. Then after the market, at 7 o'clock, we would break for dinner, healthy dinner, and we would follow a vegan dinner, accompanied with a movie. And the movies were all of these earth movies, either a movie on health, or how to take care of the environment, or how to recycle. And so we made that whole evening, very kind of eventful, very uh, uh, where you of course get good products and all, but you really get good education as well. And so that's what the content of all our market was. And we could see people, when you create this environment, people sit down, they chat about health problems, they talk of each other's solutions, and they pass information that this therapist helped me in this way, or this healer is good. So a lot of good exchange, all directed towards health, self-care, and care of community and care of the planet. So, and we also have a counter where people recycle clothes. That means hardly use clothes that are hardly used. They can be washed and kept on the counter, and somebody can pick it up and put some other clothes there. Or we had this theme that was Darya Dil Dukan, where people could anything that's not being used at home, instead of throwing it away like a book or some device, they could just keep it on the counter, and other people who really needed it could take it. So that is prolonging the used life of a certain thing, instead of just throwing it into garbage. Because many of us, we are done with some things after some time, maybe don't want to use them again. So these are all the things that we promote in our market. And even our own farmers, they like to shop in the market because they find it a very interesting evening with a lot of interesting things over there. So they are also learning more though about earth keeping, about community care, about health, besides food, other modalities of healing. They get all of this exposure. So we now, of course, the market is closed. Actually, it closed on 15th of April. That was the last keepers market we did when the um, lockdown happened. And then I was looking at starting it again, but because of so much of social distancing and all of this, we didn't start it. So at my house, I was just doing a mini market where whatever the produce I had from my garden, and one farmer friend also used to come and bring some stuff, whatever he was growing, and which was excess produce for him. So just two of us placing our fresh fruits, vegetables, and then I would also have some grocery stores that I used to sell, groceries that I used to sell earlier. And that was going up till last Sunday, because some of us, even I, was making a couple of vegan products. My neighbor was also making some vegan products, and suddenly you have this. Now the government is applying the FDA regulations, which this with the FSSA. So that's the food security and what is that? Food Safety and Securities Act, where you are not allowed to sell something unless you have a license, unless the authorities have come and checked your place for hygiene, this, that, everything, and give you a kind of a certificate. And that I'm hearing is even for the the street vendor, the people who are making in the house, even the vada pav seller and all of that. So I had a dozen of banana vegan ice creams in my fridge, and I did not sell them last Sunday, which because of that, because I don't have this small scale food producer license. And even my couple of other vendors who wanted to come and are regular sellers on our market of vegan food, they could also not come. So now I think we will restart the market once some of our vendors get these licenses, and maybe but of course I'm pretty busy now, and my team also here with the New Earth Summit webinars. So once this completes in November, we look forward to starting the Earth Keepers market once again here in North Goa, Kalangu.
Thank you, Daryl. Okay, moving on to our third question. How can people get in touch with you to know more about your market? Yes, Meenu?
Via email. Our email ID is theearthcollective2016@gmail.com. Via phone call 9650-650-333, or via Facebook Messenger, Facebook, or Instagram.
All right, thank you. Could you also put it down in the chat so that people can access it?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. Irfan?
Yeah, I'll put it in the chat any which ways. But yeah, you can take down. It is Eco Solutions. That is the company we have registered, and that's also our email ID is Eco Solutions. Okay, but we have a Facebook page called Sulimark, where we update all the products and whatever activities that we do. It's there. Okay, my number is 913-714-7614.
Okay, Daryl?
Yes, I would like to share some details. And yes, I was just trying to copy from a document on my laptop because I got in touch with my Earth Keeper groups in different cities and just asked them earlier today which are the organic markets and which they've been to. So I'm going to share those details. Of course, on our market details are there on earthkeepersmarket.com. And you will also find it if you just go to my main website, daryldesouza.com. You will find Earthkeeper groups in different cities, and you can connect with them on WhatsApp. Then we have our healers and therapists, different groups on Facebook. You can connect with them too. And you will find vegan community groups as well, and also the Earthkeepers market. So I will just go to the chat box now and type something there to all of the audience, and let me see. Just yes, I think I've got everything down there. So it's a long message, but I just want to share with the people here. What I've shared is with the first, first farmers market that I encountered in my life. That was in 2009 when I was living in Mumbai, and that is the farmers market by Kavita Mukhi. I shared that detail over there. So all of you in Mumbai, please go to that market. I've put the in the chat box. There is their website. It's farmersmarket.co.in. Okay, then in Pune, for those of you in Pune, there's a Adrish store in Koregaon Park and Aund. Then there's Sujit Agarwal, who runs an app, Mera Farmer app, which delivers organic fresh produce as well as other groceries at home. Then I have a friend over there in Pune as well, Samadhi, and I know that she does this amazing movement Annadata Citizens Movement for Safe Food. And I've given two contact details there of Bhushan, who is for the Karve Nagar and Kothurud area, and Seema for the Baner and Pashan area. I know these places well because I used to live over there during my engineering days and even during my project days. Goa, of course, I've given you a Keeper's Market. Then we also have the New Earth Gathering at Shala 142 in Asagaon. Even that is closed right now, and I think going to start, as soon as lockdown eases up. Then in Hyderabad, there's Lakshya at Saipur Colony, and their website and contact numbers also given. In Belgaum, there's Vinugram Organic Fresh by Abhay Mutalik Desai. His contact number is there. And finally, in Bangalore, Organic Sante by Bhumi Network. And it says the website is bhumicollege.org. So that's really wonderful that the college is also, taking up this. And since the resource pool is large and, educated people and people who are wanting to, and youngsters. So I'm really glad to see that they also putting their efforts together to, run these markets. Yes.
Yeah, okay. I don't see any Q&A from the audience. Would any of the panelists like to add any points or suggestions?
Yes, anything further that please mention if you would like to explain to the audience on whatever we spoke now at some point that you missed about why the markets are so important.
Daryl, I always liked your the name Earth Keepers, because that actually encompasses everything that the markets that we run are all about. It is a market for those who are contributing to the health of the soil rather than taking away from it, and who are conscious about it. So I'd also like to mention at this point that last year at some point I put together a 25-page document, which is the Bible for how the market is run and what is allowed, not allowed, because I landed up explaining, re-explaining myself again and again and again to the participants. They would forget, then they would be reprimanded, and I wanted to avoid that. So now at the point of joining, they have to go through that document and I actually agree to what is written there, and then they're welcome to participate. Of course, they feign ignorance or loss of memory very often. But well, I'm there for that. So I think, Daryl, what we were talking about before we started the webinar is that there is definitely a growing demand. It's only going to grow. And what I really find very heartening is that every child I see who comes and picks up their apple, or who's given a few rupees by the parent to go and choose whatever vegetables they want to buy, they come in and they they put together a few things, or they order their own food very confidently. They've started bringing their friends to the market. So it's not just about the parents dragging the children or something. It's something I've been told that the children wake up their parents on a Sunday or a Saturday morning for, which is very heartening. And the children coming there and saying, get this black lemonade or get this gud ka roti from so and so, they're coming in engaging. So it's not, we don't have junk food at the market. We have seasonal food only at the market. We promote and encourage all home cooks to come and showcase. So there are a lot of moms there. There are a lot of people doing their own stuff. And I mean, it's, as I said, it's a world in itself. It's a world in itself where there is engaging, there is connection, there's sharing, there is so much that's happening there. So I think we are all on the right track of trying to get people together, because that's essentially what we're trying to do. I'm not a farmer myself, but I have felt very, very, very deeply for the farmers. And I think that was why this whole thing manifested in the first place. But I think we're doing good.
Yes, of course. Minu, you're doing wonderfully well, but the size of your market is also so amazing, and the number of people that benefit from. Now, people, I'm sure they've heard your bio and your journey, and health is one of the main reasons that you're doing this market, and also in the helping the farmers, in the bargain. And I think it is only those people who have understood or got some education that all of these illnesses, high bp, cholesterol, diabetes, obesity, and all of that, whether it's kidney problems, liver, lung problems, all of these can be reversed. I mean, in my book there are a lot of details about uh, which kind of foods or what food formats are causing these illnesses, and meats is one of that part causing more acidity and rapid aging, and other chronic conditions. And that is why I think that only those people who have uh, for me, the route has been that people have come to me because they are in pain, they are sick, and they've tried so many things. Because that has been my story. I did allopathy, I did homeopathy, I even did healers and energy medicine for 14 years, even Ayurveda. And I was getting bad to worse with a lot of digestive disorders, completely ruined digestive tract. I had third degree piles operation. I had allergies all over my skin, and I used to scratch off my skin. And all of modern medicine, could not help me. And that was I almost died in 2004 because of all of this. And when I transitioned and came into eating, more healthier, natural food, doing detoxes and cleanses with herbs. So herbs is also an important part of food and healing. So when I went through that journey, then I understood the importance of health and its connection with food. And I give very nice seminars on, even if you go to if you go to this website, our website, the New Earth Summit, and you click on videos, it will show you the videos of last year. And one of my videos is there, the 10 worst foods for health that are causing illness, and the 10, in their comparison. Instead of this, you have this, the 10 healing foods. So, so only I think those people who either come across this education or go through a sickness journey. Now, many people are going through a sickness journey, but they're trying to heal themselves with allopathic pills and operations and transfusions. I mean, the transfusion and whatnot. But they are not going to have the experience of what is healing. But those people who heal themselves through proper diet and nutrition and organic, seasonal, local foods, they are the ones who really understand. And I've seen they are mostly the customers who come to our markets. So it seems that people are not so easily open to coming to organic markets sometimes, because the produce is a little more expensive, and people have to understand that these are all small scale farmers. At least at my market we do small scale farmers. Why? There's a very important reason for that, because a small scale farmer, they mainly produce for themselves, and whatever is excess from their own produce, they come and sell at the market. But I have seen large scale farmers, now when it gets very commercial and they're growing for others, there is a tendency that I've seen this, they do have one section of the farm, like I was mentioning in yesterday's talk also, where we were talking about saving seeds, local seeds. I said I have seen farmers where they've got 2 acres of land, okay, and they have kept 1/4 of that acre for themselves and their family, close to the house, and close to their traditional well, okay, and where they are doing farming for themselves, and a lot of it is for others. Now, some of these in Goa, some of these farmers even for themselves they're putting urea, so that's not organic. Uh, so this is the tendency that when they grow commercially, there's a tendency that okay, let's put in a little chemicals, let's put this and that, so it'll grow faster and the pest won't get to it. So the reason we use small scale farmers, and whoever 8, 10 of our farmers who are here at our market, um, I, I know all of them. I've gone to their places. I've seen. We are all friends. We share, growing techniques. We share how to make compost and manure. We shop at the same organic stores for, whenever we need some farm kind of implements or vermicompost or something like that. So we know each other's operations. So I've seen that as works. And if it is a big scale farmer, of course, what you need to do is get friendly with them, go to their farm, and also see that their operation is good. Then you can really trust it. So that's what I've realized over these years. Unfortunately, that's the way human beings are till the time nobody's having cancer or nobody's even diabetes is completely reversible on the proper diet. I think 90% of the people in the world don't even know this, so they are not looking. If somebody has diabetes, they just think, oh, it's an allopathic doctor, I've got to have my pill and that's the if they get the education that food and fresh food and more fibrous foods can clean out all certain things in your the too much of refined cooking oil in your cells of your body that is blocking the glucose to get from the bloodstream into your cells. If they knew this, then people would realize, oh my gosh, healthy kind of balanced fresh foods can cure most of chronic illnesses. Uh, so I think people don't know that. And for me, that has to happen first. A wider education of people how food can be a poison and food can be a medicine. When people understand that, then I think more of them will ask for organic and seasonal and local produce. Because if you do your bills, from now to the end of the year, you will finally see that it's okay paying 25% or 20% more for your fresh organic food than paying for all your monthly medicine bills and then doctor's visits and other procedures and your mediclaim and whatnot, and then of course surgeries and all that go into 3 lakhs and 5 lakhs. You suddenly get a shock. So I think that's a very vital part of growing these markets. I've seen it. 90% of people in the world really don't know that all of these illnesses can be reversed by healthy fresh food. Irfan, what would you like to say about that?
Yeah, I totally agree with what you said. Like, till the time you don't fall sick, you won't come for these markets and you won't go for this kind of options. I think you covered everything that you said, like, about the price difference. I mean, with the customer unwilling to pay, but then they'll have like the huge medical bills which they'll pay eventually, So now, like, okay, one is I think when a customer comes for these markets, I think he's setting certain attitude. He comes with certain, he makes a certain statement, just not about food and all that. It is his mindset, why he wants to be part of this market, because it's just not like buying, because the kind of people you meet over there, because the kind of lifestyle you have, which you want to learn, which you want to teach, which you want to discuss. I mean, so it's a statement. Okay, but what we have to also understand is, like, say, this market is just a tip of the whole mountain. We do a lot of work in the background. Like, for example, I mean, for this market, okay, there are very few farmers who travel to all the markets. We have created farmers, like like Mr. Miguel said, we are into farming farmers. We are creating farmers. Like how we are creating consumers, we are also creating farmers. So we we have like this education program in schools also. We catch them young, teach them about growing foods at home. Then we go to villages, we talk to farmers, about going organic. Now, like, everybody says, okay, go organic, go organic, go organic. And they think like, going organic is just like putting cow dung. But another problem also, from where to get the cow dung, where are the cows? There are, like how Bhagishri spoke yesterday, there are so many options of going organic. Why only cow dung? Okay. But now, like, what we have done is, we have come up with a lot of solutions to take care of your organic farming. Right from your soil conversion to immunity boosters of the plants to like this. And the final thing, which is the most important, is the pest management solution. I won't say pesticide, it is pest management solution. See, most of the farmers, like, the small farmers, okay, they don't get yield. But then when the pest attacks, they will straight away go for, like, pesticides and all that.
So that is another thing. I mean, we are working with someone also, to create like this home remedies. Okay, and we are also trying to come up with our own pest management solutions. So like I'm saying, like so when there are solutions we have given, like, okay, now you have to go organic. We have given you the whole solution, like and see, like we also do like this delivery and all. We come to your house. Okay, you want to get farming? What seeds to? Okay, where do you get seeds? We come and give it in your hands. Okay, we tell you how to grow, when to grow. Like how to go about this whole thing. Any problem, we are there to sort it out. So I think we are giving the full support. So we are creating more and more and more resources. Earlier there were no resources. I said, like, see, the resources are always there, just that they are not tapped. So that is very important. So farmers one, and then again the customers also, like, because you're getting certain, like Daryl, how you said, like the customer has to pay little extra, maybe 25%, 30% extra, with the kind of things which is getting over here, instead of spending, like, on the mammoth bills and all that. Now, like, okay, as a customer also, like, like, I think, like, once a customer starts buying, like, from the local producers, they are also encouraged. So it works both the ways. So we are promoting organic farming, and we're also promoting organic farmers. So that's what makes a market. Now that is just one, like, okay, now farmers. There are so many other things, like, which are evolved around this markets. Like, for example, there are so many farmers who don't know anything about this market, who don't want to come out. So we actually go and tell them, okay, these are the types of foods you can grow. We tell them what the market is. So that is there. Then there's so many talents. Like today, I just met one guy. I mean, he's multi-talented. I mean, he does rock carving. He does some jungle, like, some pickles, some jungle herbs. He does like some sharbat, like excellent sharbat. I just had. So this is what we do. Like when in our free time, we go and meet this. Then there's one more lady. Her name is Mrs. Lutz. Like I just love Bimli pickle. But she has actually made a pickle which you don't have to freeze it. She's dried those bimlis and all that. I don't know what's the English term for this, and she's made this pickle. But now, I mean, this is just for her. We are telling her to sell, but she doesn't want money. She doesn't want money. And likewise, so many are blessed, I mean, who don't need money and all that. So what we also tell at this local market is you can still give your produce and take something in return. It's not sometimes always a money exchange. Suppose some, like, okay, rich landlord and all, if he's got a produce, I mean, the idea is not the money. The idea is those resources have to reach the final consumer, because there are a lot of people deprived of these foods. And the people who come, like, unfortunately, are the ones who fall sick and all that. Then they'll travel like 15 kilometers, 20 kilometers, 30 kilometers. Anytime they are willing to just come to just buy one papaya, from 30, 40 kilometers also, they ask. And that is the reason why we are trying to go closest to you, so that there are a lot of talent around, there are a lot of farmers around. All those things can be brought at one place. And, and the consumers, of course, once there are facilities, then I mean, the people take, advantage of the facilities. So we are creating this kind of facilities. We are creating, we are exposing like a lot of talent from villages near you. So I think over to the host.
Yes, Irfan, I just want to mention another point. When this, 25% more, it happens because our local small scale farmers, they do, operations at a smaller scale. So that is why, the price is a bit higher. And people have to understand that there's a smaller scale operation, there's better care, and there's better, management of, all of these, the produce that comes out from a farm. It's done with a lot of love and care, and that's the reason why the prices are a little bit higher. But if you follow natural farming practices and permaculture on bigger plots of land, then you get the produce at cheaper rates. I mean, not 25% of premium, but maybe just 10-15% of a premium. The second thing I also wanted to share is that on the Earthkeepers market, we also were selling saplings and seeds because, like I said, this is a community of people who want good health. So many of them are trying to grow things in their own garden or in some pots in the house. So that's also something that I think all, organic markets should have counters for. Even there are microgreens, people who make microgreens and all, and they kind of sell it on the market. They will even sell you a small kit of how to do microgreens at home. There are workshops happening. And so sometimes a few of our markets, we did have a workshop also happening at the side. So yeah, I think, the more things that we need, whatever we need in the space, I think we should include in the market. And it just becomes a place where community can come together and learn from each other and, barter things and barter knowledge as well. Yesterday on the webinar, it was, how to help the youth get into agriculture and value addition of, that is from plant-based produce, how to make, products. And it is a real big need in the world now, especially for our food security. Uh, as I explained earlier, but I just want to cover it once again. There is nobody out there, business out there who is actually teaching you how not to fall sick. Everybody is just sitting, behind, and okay, you fall sick because you are not, you don't know what are the wrong things you should not do. And once you fall sick, everybody's there to sell you things, whether it's supplements also, whether it's, any kind of medicine, any kind of therapy, treatment, and all of that. And I don't see in the state machinery that there is any, great effort uh, to prevent people from getting sick. And so, for those of you who do not want to go through that journey of getting sick, going through, suffering, missing opportunities in life, not showing up at work, having your headaches, having your medicines, going to your doctor's visits, going to the hospitals, getting, X-rays and sonographies and all of that. We have all just sailed into that and think it's a normal life. You go to the indigenous communities or go and live in, go to the jungles, and you will see that there is no such kind of life over there. They just move around and they, searching for food or doing some activity. They get the exercise and they eat what's natural in the area. And they have I think that's the real life. Life was like this, quite some time back. That people did not have to spend so much time on curing themselves of illnesses because they were not doing the wrong things. So I think we need to look at that. City-based people have really lost touch with what is natural life, what is natural food, what is, and we need to go back to the villages or probably, look at life 200 years back and see uh, why people were not falling sick at that time. So we are going down, I think, a very disturbing path right now where people have given their responsibility of health to somebody else. Okay, and that's the starting of my book. In the preface of my book, um, over 1 million medicines in the world and still 1 million illnesses. There is something really wrong with that equation. You have to understand those medicines are not working. So the first thing is, what are the things we do to get sick, and then we are exposed to a system of popping pills which does not cure anything. It's like a life support system, and then we go through the associated, trauma, suffering, and everybody's so fine telling each other, oh, I've got a migraine, oh, I get stomach upset, oh, my bones are paining, and I don't believe that we should have a future like this and even allow or accept, this in our life. So it's good that the people who are reversing the illnesses by doing the right foods, the right therapies, the right detox with herbs, the right kind of exercises, they are the people who can teach others how to heal themselves. Uh, Otherwise, I would say it again, there are just businesses making, money of our suffering and whatever we are going through. So that's why I'm trying to see that, now once our center reopens, that lot more people give their healing testimony of what works. And you will see that the major, like 70% of their reversal of chronic illnesses will come from right, healthy, fresh foods. So I think it's upon us. If every person, it's upon us only. If we want a better future, we have to do the work and not leave it up to other businesses. So I'm always promoting people who are doing natural therapies and natural treatments and growing natural food and healing themselves, healing the earth. And the market is such a place to share all these ideas, share movies on these things, inspire people, and also make people who have healed themselves come up to the mic and say something about their journey. That really people stand and listen to them. When somebody in front of you says that I've reversed, I've dropped 20 kilos of excess weight in 4 months, that I've reversed my diabetes, and now somebody else is saying I'm cancer free for so many years. For me, it's only people on the ground who are doing the real work. Minu, would you like to share some experience of yours on this?
My journey. 2012, I was actually diagnosed with diabetes after having been a healer since the year 2000. And I was very fortunate to come upon the program by Sharan, Dr. Nandita Shah. I went in June. I was diagnosed in end April, and during the program, I got off medication because actually I had refused medication. From years and years before, I was only, if I had any cold, cough, or fever or something, it was always only homeopathy or Ayurveda, never allopathy for years and years and years. I never ever believed in it. So I went there. I mean, my counts were really high. And when it started getting a bit blurry and disoriented, the doctor told me, you better get onto insulin. But I was determined to get off it. I mean, completely determined. And I knew that I never wanted to come back with the injections that I had taken with me to Swaswara. And I think day 3, my count started dropping. And by the time while I was still there during the program, they took me off all medication. And that was when I was eating organic food every day. And day 21, we come back to Goa and we go into a nice fancy hotel and we have my first meal and I tasted. I said, this is not nice. Then dinner. And my husband is in the travel industry, so we are very looked after. The chef will come and the manager will come and everybody's trying to spoil you with this and that. And I couldn't for the life of me figure out, this is really bad food. Next morning breakfast to the third meal. And that's when I realized that it had nothing to do with their culinary skills. It had everything to do with the ingredients. And in the 3 weeks that I was there, because we were eating only organic, my taste buds had changed. So I came back, if I'm not wrong, on the 22nd or 23rd. And in 2 days, I switched my kitchen. I just took a stock of what I didn't have, where dry groceries were concerned. And I switched. 2012 up to the present day, my kitchen is fully organic. Every last ingredient.
Wonderful. Irfan, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, you were talking about why the prices are high and all that. Because the produce is less. Yeah, I totally agree with you. Because here, like the farming is such, like that's what I tell everyone. Farming in Goa is different from rest of India. So whenever we talk about farming in Goa we talk about acres and acres of land. In Goa, nothing of that sort happens. Just like I have like one small unit. Okay, I grow like say tamri bhaji, bhende, chilies, all of that. Same thing is replicated by the farmer next to me. Maybe at a little bigger scale or the smaller scale. Same thing, third one and the fourth one. So it's the same in that whole cluster. We get the same vegetables with Okay, now what we are trying, okay, these are the talk about the solutions, So what we are trying to do is, okay, like one is we're trying to make this community one small groups, where they can grow in large scale now. Instead of all the farmers replicating the same thing at different ratios. Like we call recent say Kandoli. Okay, he'll be growing only peppers and different kind of peppers. So we are calling pepper man. Then there's another guy who will be growing, like say, for example, this watermelon. There's the other guy who will be growing, like this ladyfingers. So what happens when you grow at the larger scale? Automatically your cost comes down. And see now, like they can afford to grow at the bigger scale because see, we are giving them this whatever, like this armor and sell it here, like I mean, like at my place. Then if whatever is in excess will go to another place. Some other farmer is over there and he's closer to you, he can come there. So we are forming this whole network of farmers, where they sort of like any any commission can decide where and go to somewhere closest. So I think when we have like another thing, what we did is, to bring the cost down. See, earlier, like we used to get what do you call that? This from cocoa peat from outside. Then we convince someone to do cocoa. What is cocoa peat? It's just a powder. No? Of course, it has to be sanitized and all. Now we prices have gone down like drastically. Earlier we were selling for 40 rupees a kg, and that was full deal. I mean, even we were telling customers, don't buy this, but it is expensive. For all, it was more expensive, 15 rupees a kg, almost half the price, So that is what is also important. One is like, selling a finished product. Two is like identify where you can get the raw material. Like for example, suppose somebody wants to buy only farming. We are talking about farming and growing plants and all that. So like, okay, that's value addition. So many things, value added. Banana chips. One is growing put up a setup of making banana chips. Okay, where are the resources? So now we tell other farmers, okay, now they grow bananas, can grow more bananas. So I can do some value addition. Now then, okay, lately you're hearing about virgin coconut oil. I just heard about coconut oil. Now there's double things are getting, so the value, so there are a lot of things today. This once Lisa spoke about different things. She's like, this is how I feel like, more and more products can be put in the market. So that is what even we are trying to do. We're trying to catch hold of like, certain youngsters, certain ladies, certain farmers, and, try to specialize their so you don't have to get anything for the simple reason, like the transport is a major cost. Okay, that's how we are going about this whole thing. Yeah, over to you, Darren.
Okay, thank you, Irfan. Now moving on to Q&A. A question from Anonymous. How can we have more of these workshops done at residents or homes? That is to educate and target the maximum people. Darren, would you like to take that?
Okay, so probably the person is referring to the workshops that I said we were doing at the Rejuvenation Center. So now I have an online workshop that it's a 12-hour workshop, and I'm trying to work on it and making it a more detailed workshop of 15 hours that people can do over 3-4 days. Putting in 3 hours every day. So it's a combination of this. I used to do this workshop as an intensive 9-hour workshop in different cities in India. And in Delhi, I think I have done the workshop at Minu's center, the Padma Center for Soul Realization, maybe 5-6 times, right, Minu? So, and I got so much of support and wonderful, clients and people who are willing to learn from Meena Center because it's a healing center. And I had a really wonderful time there, every workshop. And now, since the lockdown came, I was scheduled for 23rd of April and then 22nd or 21st of May in Bombay and 23rd in Delhi actually. So since the lockdown stopped all of this, then I took my workshop online, and because it is the need of people. So whoever wants to reverse all of these, kindly go to my website, becomehealthyorextinct.com, and there you'll see the health workshop section, and you'll find their workshop there. And I'm thinking of doing other workshops because it's the need of people to do focused 3-hour workshops or 4-hour workshops for reversing diabetes or reversing bone problems. The same workshops that I was doing at my center, but I only do that for the people's urgency and need, and people believe that they've only got this high blood pressure. That's the main problem. But if you actually go and see anybody who's got high blood pressure, besides that, they would have some other problems as well, maybe borderline diabetes or obesity or acidity or constipation or kidney stones. um, so that's why I would rather advise people to attend a bigger workshop that gives you the complete life skills of reversing all of these. And I teach all natural therapies. It's an integrated protocol where you use diet and nutrition, then acupressure for diagnosis and healing of organs, herbs for healing, herbs for detoxifying the body also, and what we what I teach is organ cleanses, how to dissolve kidney stones, how to dissolve gallbladder stones, how to flush your, detoxify your colon, intestines, and all of that. And then a couple of other therapies too. So this time of lockdown and when people are trying to get healthier, uh, yes, you can do the online workshop. Also go to my YouTube channel and there you will find 2 videos. Uh, how to fix your immunity is one of them, and especially at this time of COVID, please watch both of those webinars. On one of the webinars I had more than 100 people because it was happening for audience here in India and for audience in Lebanon also. So there I've explained what are the things that are cutting down our immunity and how we should negate those things out of our life and replace them with the healthier things so that our immunity goes up. When your immunity goes up, then you can fight COVID and this virus. Virus can come to you and you can finish off the virus and be happy. But if your immunity is down, then the virus is going to take you down. So go to my YouTube channel and get that also free, education, and start using the advice there. Thank you, Ran.
Thank you, Daryl. And another question from Snigdha Joshi. How much does the grocery bill hike up after including only organic? My grocery bill is 20,000 per month. By going organic, how high will this rise? A ballpark number would do.
First of all, I've seen
Can you
that
hear me?
it's difficult to replace, everything with organic. It depends what you get in your area. But I think, yes, probably 25-30%. So you can do the math. That's 5,000 more or 7,000 more. Irfan, what would you say?
Like Daryl said, you can't really compare. But what with your regular bills and see, we are just not talking about food here. We are talking about the whole lifestyle. See, that is what we are trying to market and that is what we are trying to set. The lifestyle. So when I talk about lifestyle, the first of all, you won't buy anything extra. See, we are talking about sustainable growth. So you will buy something only when it is necessary. It could be food, or it could be clothing, it could be anything. So first try to understand, before, trying to say, okay, this is your grocery bill, of 20,000. First of all, you'll cut down on that. Again, in those 20,000, I think there are a lot of things or foods which you don't require or which are toxic, which are bad for health. So the best thing say, whenever you go to buy grocery, always you have to go with your stomach full. When you go with the stomach full, you don't crave for unnecessary things. So when you go with the stomach full, you'll buy only what is necessary. So here, when you're talking about a lifestyle store or the lifestyle market or this farmer's market, you will buy things in limit. You'll buy only what is required. And now the markets are coming every week and you don't have to stock. So because see, we're also saying you don't have to preserve anything, eat fresh. So when, you're not buying something worth 20,000 for a day, you're buying for a week or for a month and all that. So So that is also what we are saying. So when you're buying that kind of food, you already know there are preservatives. You already know, I mean, you can stock it for another month and all that. So why do you have to do that? So when you buy in bits and pieces, like, locally, I mean, of course you'll save on that. And organic food is not always expensive, like some of the farmers or this, okay, one of the reason is because, is it the small time farmers, the cost of production and all that. So now when you get a bigger scale, I mean, of course the price will come down. Two is, I mean, like, my advice to all the organizers, I mean, who are listening to us and all that, keep your cost low of organizing the market. See, when you charge a farmer like some 1,000 or 2,000 or whatever, obviously the farmer has to mark it up by going, by selling to him. Ultimately, he'll have to take it from the customer. So when you keep your cost low, of course, you can charge the farmer less. So ultimately the farmer will be able to give it at a certain price. So because there are like, okay, like all these events, I mean, they are okay, so most of the events which you see, they try to put in like too many activities in that, too much of shosha. We are talking about sustainable development. Why do we need so much of decoration? Why do we need so much of highlight so many things during your event? You can keep it simple. People understand. You can use the broken chair, you can use broken table, you can use something which is recycled, and people do understand that. And also like, I mean, conduct like a lot of this activity so that people come and enjoy. So that is all the organizers can do. Yeah, over to you.
Yeah, I wanted to, mention one more thing is that when anybody is doing this exercise, right, there's a parallel exercise that you need to do. So that exercise is, what is your current bill of medication? Okay, so that is one list per month. What are the medicines you are taking? Then there's also a time and effort column that you need to put over there. Okay, so to go to how often do you have to go to the medical store? How much petrol and how much time it takes to do that. How often you have to give your doctor a call or go to the center. So take all that time, effort, and then when you have spent time on that, what is the time you lost to do some other things. So I think there have to be several columns, when you're trying to assess. So you're losing so many things on this side. And so I think a comprehensive kind of analysis has to be done. And because I was so sick and I was taking so much of medication, and because I was seeing so many doctors and experts in the country, one after the other, I mean, I lost so many opportunities. I couldn't travel because of on work and get better things. I couldn't take certain projects because they would keep me out of home for a longer time, and I had to have just to keep my digestive system safe. I had to eat mostly home food. So over my 14 years of sickness, the amount of opportunities I lost, the amount of money I lost, of course, the trauma and suffering that I went through was really tremendous. So do the comprehensive exercise, okay? And you will see that within 6 months, perhaps, definitely, or at least within a year, you will see you're in profit. Even if you spend 25-30% more on per month on your food bill for organic.
Yeah, thank you, Daryl. Meena, would you like to share something on this?
Echoing Daryl's thoughts also, it is you can't compute these things. This shift to organic is towards a much larger picture. Most of our farmers are doing regenerative farming, they're doing natural farming, they are contributing to the health of the earth, and not just it's not a question of how much our bills come to. It's a cost which has far greater consequences when we are pumping chemicals into everything, whether it's the clothes that we buy. Fast fashion is one of the second largest contributors to pollution in the world over. Everything has an impact. So it's not so simple. It's not, you can't just say it's a grocery bill that goes up. The contribution that you make is so much larger. So we have to look at the larger picture. If we start eating organic and we are encouraging farmers to grow naturally and do regenerative farming, they are not just contributing to our health, they're contributing to the health of the planet, of the soil, and actually of every living being. Whether it's the birds or the bees or the, I was sitting day before yesterday at Sundar Nursery, and there was a myna that was passing by, and people sometimes have asked me, why don't you have music here? And I said, close your eyes, and you will hear the music, you hear the birds. That is priceless. So, as I said, I'm saying again, we have to compute so many more factors involved now, of the sickness, of the lost opportunities, as Daryl is saying. There's so much more. You stay in good health, you are with like minded people. It's a joy unto itself. You're in nature. We are very blessed that the market is in the most stunningly beautiful space, which is Sundar Nursery. It's one of possibly India's most beautiful park at this moment of time. It's
Wow.
really astonishingly beautiful. So I don't put it down to a grocery bill.
Very right, very right. And as you're speaking, I started seeing some, deeper scenes, which is, of course, is a fact. Now, and this is on the farmer's side. You see, to grow all these chemical-laden vegetables, the health of the farmers, my own, person who was working for me, he went back to the village because his cousin brother died of chemicals. They got some new crop and they were given some new machine which was all this with this chemical spraying, and that guy was loaded in it. He had never done it in his life, and because of the money that they wanted at that time, he went and did it for 4 5 days. All of that went into the system, and within 1 week he was dead. So this is what price the farmers are paying with their health to give us these chemical vegetables. And the second point that I want to bring in is these 1.5 lakh farmers in India who committed suicide because of the loans that they had taken in the system and the loans they couldn't pay back and all of that. And here in comparison, we are, because why they're not getting so much money, because they're selling their onions per kilo and all that 5 6 7 8 rupees, where we are in the city we're buying it for 40. So where's the difference between 40 and 8 rupees or 10 rupees going, right? So that's why all of our farmers, were committing suicide in this country. And here, this organic movement is trying to bring the farmer directly to you. Even as some of the markets, some of the farmers are paying 10%. We were also charging 10%, on our market for some time. And some people charge by the table, whether it's 200, 300, or 500. But can you imagine now the farmer, instead of selling it to somebody for 10 rupees, they can come and sell it for 40 rupees, and perhaps 10 rupees they are paying for the table or something, but the farmer gets 30 rupees, okay, compared to what he was getting earlier, 10 rupees. So I think this, multiple markets in places where they are close to growing locations, where the farmer can just in the early morning harvest his stuff, bring it in his van or truck directly to the market, sell over there and make good money. I think this is a vital component of the farmer's survival and the survival of this entire industry. I think it can be saved by these community markets. And it's my dream and vision. I've been seeing this for so many years and I'm trying to get towards it. And the dream is that the market is just happening outside a big farming belt where there are maybe 20, 30 farmers and all of that. And so it's happening there because in the farming area you have land, you see. There is, so somebody can just say, okay, for the whole Sunday or something or twice a week we can allow something to happen over here, market to happen. And my dream is that they harvest and they make available whatever can happen there. But then there's also an opportunity where if a parent comes with children and all, they can also go within the farm with one assistant. They can go and see, they can, children can go and pluck, and the parents will also tell them, of course, this is raw, you shouldn't take this. So I think so much of joy, it's like a weekend or the midweek or the evening or the morning spent at a farm. I think that's a tremendous, chance for learning and excitement, of course, for our children when they go into all these places. Like Mino said, they'll get to see the birds, they'll get to see crickets, they'll get to see so many things. So uh, I think that is possible if we all wish for it. I definitely think it can happen.
Daryl, can I add something here?
Yes, of course.
So there are lots of farmers that whom we are associated with actually who do school visits, who do family visits to the farms, where the children get a hands-on experience, even growing their own produce and seeing and cutting or eating or whatever is grown off the land. Another thing which is I'm very excited about is that at Sundar Nursery, my association with them has been so beautiful that they wanted to get bees, and I knew of a bee man based in Lucknow, and then now they've got bees at the Sundar Nursery. Then they started a whole sparrow. Making sparrow nest for the sparrows, because it's a 90-acre park and there's no Wi-Fi towers. So the possibility of the sparrows is coming back is possible. And then I spoke to them about doing a garden specific for educating children about what is in season, because even chefs today, a lot of chefs do not know what is in season. So there also I've been spending a lot of time with chefs. They come regularly to the market, and I'm happy to say that there's a whole trend that has started of the chefs using local produce and using indigenous leaves, which they would never have used in Italian restaurants or Mediterranean restaurants. So there's a lot of excitement there. And the park that's going to be coming up is going to be put together by Bijom, Aparna Rajagopal, the educational park where they'll be growing local seasonal produce, which will show that okay, this is in season now, and there are 5 types of bengan, and there are more than 1 type of bean, and things like that. So we are working on a lot of different fronts also to do these kind of things.
Thank you, Meenu. Yeah, next question from Luz de Souza. Can these markets be brought to other villages?
To villages?
Yes.
I didn't think there was a need for villages to have markets like this, because there are a lot of this agricultural land. No? They're surrounded by agricultural land. So maybe they should take the initiative to initiate their farmers to start growing organic. Then there wouldn't
Yes.
be a need for the market. There wouldn't be.
Yes, I think that is an important part. And somebody from that location, you see, uh, so anybody from that location can come and see one of our markets, just see how it's organized, visit the market 2, 3 times, get the idea, concepts, talk to all the people, talk to the organizer, and then you take these ideas of, how to make it work and go back to that village. And I think there should be somebody who wants to organize it. And then there has to be one aspect of, like Minu said, the farmers, they have to be taught how to transition to organic. Okay, then I think it will really work. So it's a parallel movement where a person who wants to organize it, and there are, of course, everybody needs food wherever they are. So you have the demand, and then you have this organizer who also brings an education team that can teach the farmers, and of course, the people also have to be educated a bit for them to understand why organic is healthy. So so yes, people, were asking me in Goa itself. There was one time where I was doing the market at 4 locations in Goa, and it became really too much. Me, I had the enthusiasm to drive around, but all of our vendors, 22, 23, 25 tables, go to North Goa, go to the mid of Goa, go to the beach side. So we did it. In fact, we did it for 1.5 year, and some of them really got tired. And then we brought it down to 2 locations. Now it's happening only every Sunday at my location over here, because there's another, like I shared in the details, there's another market in uh, North Goa. There's one up further. I forgot to get the details for you all. It's done by Jill Ferguson, and in Mandrem. Oh, sorry, Mojim. So yeah, I think that all that is required is come to the spaces where this happens, understand it, and then you can go and do it in your location. And through our keeper groups also in different cities, I will just put in some effort and try and mainly give the mechanics and the ideas. You see, then people who want to make it happen will start making it happen.
Thank you.
Can I
Irfan,
say
would
something?
you like to say? Yes, please.
Yeah, definitely. I really like this question uh, by Mrs. Rhodes. So like, see, we always believed, I mean, why should the healthy food be luxury of only the rich, only the urban crowd? So we always try to receive, as we said, we are talking about a lot of things. It's just not what the farmer produces in the village. It's a whole lifestyle which we're trying to create. So like it just like how we are saying, we're promoting organic farmers. So we have like all the agriculture inputs, then we have like agriculture produce, then we have like other life eco-friendly solutions. So there are lots, I mean, which we have already discussed. So of course, even in the village, we are talking about like demos, we are talking about networking, we are talking why should villages be deprived? But the villages have to come together because even we are setting up a market. We are already starting this weekend in one of the village, where you'll think like, why are we going there? Where all the local, there are so many local producers, why would they buy your produce? But yeah, we'll be like, I mean, like, you know, and very much the villages want to participate. So all the villages have to come together, make it an event, make it an weekly event to look forward to come and meet, to get together, to learn, to take back home like health and foods and some knowledge, you know. Yeah, sure. And we are doing that. So if anybody wants to set up in any village, I mean, they can definitely get in touch with us. We can set it up and then you can take it over. We can help you set up this whole market in any of the village. Thank you. Yeah, over to you, Ron.
Yes, it's funny. I completely agree with that. And I was just, mentioning something which I skipped my mind. And there have been people, from different parts of Goa asking me to bring my market over there. But I just told them that, see, I'm doing the market every Sunday and I can't do more than that. So please come to our market. Please come to our market, talk to me, see all the vendors, see how it is run, come twice, thrice, get the ideas. And then, you can go and do it in your, and we're always there to kind of give you advice and all that. And even if we know vendors from your area that find it easy to come there, you can, we share those vendors with you also. So yes, it is just like how we did it. You see, we saw the problem was big enough and important enough, and then we organized ourselves in this place. So I think it's just down to that. Find 2, 3 people who they want to be responsible for getting good food in your area, and yeah, they should just visit one of our markets and understand how it's done, and then they'll be able to do it.
Also, Daryl, also like, I mean, this, if you look at this market in isolation, it's very difficult to run that, So this whole network, so that is what we're trying to create all over Goa, the network of markets. So like, because otherwise you see the same vendors traveling all wherever there's a market. These are the same vendors who travel from X to Y to Z. So we are trying to create more markets. We are trying to create like more vendors. We are trying to create more consumers. And like this whole thing. I mean, the whole thing will work with the network. So like I said, like we're specializing. Like certain farmers will be specializing certain produce. Other farmers will like specializing some other items. Likewise, like this whole network will be formed, and then each and every market will be complemented with each other. And I think that's the way to go about this, rather than looking at it in isolation. So like like wherever you all are organizing, I mean, try to set this kind of network, and then like you can work much better. Yeah, Ron.
Right, thank you. Moving on to our next question from Galaxy J7. This is to Daryl. Hi, Daryl. Want to know when and how soon would you start having your workshops in different cities?
Okay. Yes, Galaxy 7, I'm finding it more convenient right now to do the workshop online. So I may just continue that for some more time. And it's a very wonderful, powerful workshop, and especially because of no contact and COVID and traveling, people are taking advantage of it online. And in fact, I've seen that they are getting more clarity, and because everything is right in front of your screen. You can see my video, you can see my acupressure points that I'm teaching you right in front of the screen, and I get an opportunity to give much more links and online documents and groups and all in the online workshop, so you can get much better connected. So the only reason now I think that I will visit other cities is if I have other work as well to meet people in those areas. And I had just started doing that since a year. I was having a previous day meeting with people in the city, and next day, Saturday, I was using for that, for meeting with our keeper groups and planning certain things. And then on Sunday, I was doing the workshops. So I would have a weekend trip to a different city. Now, so I will continue doing the workshop online, and when it requires my presence over there for some other work, then I think I'll visit other cities, and definitely not till this lockdown period is going on. That should need to clear first, because I don't want to take risk myself and also put other people, in a place of risk, to going around that.
But there's an open offer to do the workshop in the park, huh, by the way,
No,
under the trees. Huh?
with the standard protocols, sanitizer, mask,
Yeah,
everything. Yes, with good
masks, no,
social distancing.
all that is possible
Wonderful.
under the
Daryl,
trees.
Daryl,
Yes.
yeah, I think Daryl, you can play a very, very important role, in creating these markets, or in marketing these markets, or giving these markets, the kind of what we are set out to do. Because see, till the time you don't talk about like the problems, people, then there's no importance of these markets. So
Right.
you need to talk to like a lot of things about like whatever those lifestyle diseases, how much money they can, like you spoke lovely about the bills. Like I think if you compare like your total yearly bill, and once you go organic, then again you compare your annual bill, and you'll know the difference. Maybe in 1 year or 2 years, definitely I think the cost will come down overall. Am I right, Daryl? And I
Yes,
think you
yes,
can play a very important role in, reaching audience and talking about all the problems that can happen. So
yes,
that they visit our markets more. We are giving the solution, but you can talk about the problems.
yes. The main connect is that
Yeah.
the connection between people's sicknesses and food. You see, so once we establish that, definitely it'll have a better impact, and more people will realize the route to health is through good food every day. It's not that the amount of cheating you do eating junk food, that much amount of suffering you're going to have. So that is no running away from that. Um, and of course, we need to, for our future generation and this planet, we need to teach our children the right things. You see, we need to give them proper principles. If in that principles we teach them, there can be days of cheating and all that, then we are not doing a real good job. And another point that I want to make is, when you allow for these inorganic, chemical, foods in your diet, or these processed and packaged foods, uh, everything has an impact on the food supply chain. And from your table, it's supplied by a store, and then there's a warehouse, and then there's a manufacturer, and then there's the land and the people who are growing it. If you allow cheating a little time, then that much amount of junk comes to the system. These are all business systems in a supply chain. Okay, so the amount that you allow, that is what comes in. So people don't realize this. They think that, oh, the supermarkets are providing only this. Oh, I go to the mall, I go to my banya guy, and he's giving me only this. So the fact is that the consumer decides what will come in the supply chain. If you say no to something, the stocks will remain with the banya or with the supermarket and the malls, and they'll date expire, and then that affects the manufacturer, and then they realize that, oh, we should manufacture less of this because it's not being picked up. Now, when they do that, the amount of original produce that they make of that kind with chemicals and fertilizers, chemical based fertilizers, that drops, and then that much amount of lesser damage happens to the planet. Okay, so people are the actual people who change this entire thing. If you do not clean up your source here, then the supply chain will not clean up, and it will allow for bad growing practices on the planet, and that damages the soil and the air and the water and everything. Okay, so if we want to clean up this planet, it's actually consumers. It's not these manufacturers and the guys who invent foods and all of that and put all of these things together in boxes. We are just under the impression with all their marketing and all the hypnotism, we think these guys are, creating the entire food industry. No, you create the what will come to you as food if you have the right education. So you don't have to go and shut down companies and doing mocha. Some people have lost their lives fighting against this company, that company. Oh, they're creating poisons and all of that. That was all unnecessary. You just have to educate the people to stop having those things, and then the entire food supply chain starts rearranging itself. So the businesses who are doing, unhealthy foods, they switch to healthy foods. You have seen that happening in supermarkets and in malls. They bring, now virtually most supermarkets have got, at least a 10 or 15% organic section or a fresh food section, and that is only because 15% of people are asking for that. When 100% of people who go to this to ask for organic, then the entire store in 6 months, 1 year is going to be all natural and organic produce. Okay, so we're not trying to take away anybody's business. We are sending the right signals through our right choices. So don't complain on the system, people, and look at what you can do every day. Stop making the wrong choices. Start making the right choices. Go online, get educated, understand what is seasonal, organic, understand what is the whole food, plant-based diet. Okay, research that. There are so many movies coming out on it now, which are showing how people are reversing all kinds of illnesses by going on a healthy, fresh food diet.
Thank you, Darren. It's 8 p.m. now. We have reached the end of today's webinar session. Would anyone like a final word of advice? No?
Stay healthy and happy.
Okay. Yeah, a big thank you to our panelists for sharing such valuable information, and to our audience for being here with us. Yep, thank you and good night.